I'm Councillor Mick Morton, leader Nottinghamshire County Council. I would like to welcome you all to this meeting of the Cabinet. It is being broadcast live and recorded for publication. Item 1, minutes of the last meeting held on the June the 23rd of this year. Can I accept this as a true record, please? Can I have a show of hands, please, from Cabinet members? Thank you. Item 2, apologies for absence. I've got Councillor James Rawson, who's on holiday. Yeah, he's a Deputy Cabinet member. Item 3, declarations of interest. Are there any? No. Item 4, supported accommodation housing provider framework. I would like to introduce Councillor Barry Answer, a member for Adult Social Care, to introduce his report and formally move the recommendations. Thank you.
Thank you, Chairman. I'm pleased to bring this report forward. I assume that everyone's had plenty of opportunity to read this report. It is important because this is about what it's costed us for people to be in a nursing home. As you can see within this report, it talks about residential services of £1,968 a week. And not everybody wants to go into a nursing home. The majority of people would prefer to stay in their own home, and that we put help and support and assistance in to help them stay at home where possible. It does two things. It first of all makes sure that we look after our residents in the environment that have lived in, some people, for 50 years. But where necessary, we'll take the necessary steps to support them wherever we need to. That's important that we look after. But certainly living at home is a very important part of their life. And you can see from the report what these savings are. So it's not just about savings, it's about people and savings. And I think that is important to us all. And I really do think that this report, what's in this report, and everybody's ready, well, we welcome it with open arms. And as I say, it's to support our residents. Thank you.
Thank you, Barry. Thank you, Barry. Are there any comments from Cabinet members before we move the recommendations? Councillor Justice.
Just a question there. Thank you, Councillor Answer. I think you've already gone some way to explain this, but can you also perhaps elaborate and explain further how investing in this will be better for the person as well as financially sustainable?
Thank you. Yes, supported living involves the person having a tenancy of their own front door, which maximises their independence and gives privacy and dignity. And supporting accommodation focuses on improving life skills, independence, and is designed to enable people to move to their own house wherever possible. Supporting accommodation is more cost effective on the unit cost basis due to the way housing costs are structured, and that care is separate from housing related costs.
Thank you, Councillor Answer. Councillor Green, so then I've got Councillor Ryan. Sorry.
Thank you, Councillor Ryan. I've got a question for Councillor Answer for in relation to housing. It can be quite a complex issue, you know, with separate local authority powers, different responsibilities. So I'm finding, particularly in Ashfield, differences of responsibility with the district and the county. So in this relation to the fact that we're not a housing authority, can you explain like how you work with the district itself and the boroughs to help people support it, so that it's a holistic approach?
Yeah, thank you, Councillor Green. I think, you know, the duty to prevent homelessness and social care playing a part in enabling people to live on their own, but not cure our duty. The people homeless and people that are on the streets is a district council matter. Housing is a district council matter. Working with them is so important. Duty to provide care and support, but no care without a home. We work in partnership with developing for underdeveloped and different between the different councils. We work as close as we can to accommodate people. But we all know what the problems are with housing in everybody's district. Reliance on districts for extra care and general needs housing is that we support this work wherever we can get it.
Thank you, Councillor Answer. Thank you, Councillor Green, for your questions. Councillor Kelvin Wright.
Leader, thank you. Just a comment, if I may. I'm delighted to be associated and a part of this report, and I think it represents a really compassionate and respectful approach to our care of our vulnerable people in our community. I think any of us who've had either elder relatives or been in a caring responsibility will see the benefit and recognise the benefits of keeping people in their own home or in supported living as long as possible. And I do think this represents a really nice, compassionate, respectful view towards those we have responsibility for, irrespective of any other financial gains. And I'm really pleased to support it. I think what it also does is it maintains those residential services that we need for the most vulnerable. And I think it's an absolutely excellent way forward. My comment was on.
Thank you, Councillor Wright. Anybody else? Councillor Dodd.
Just merely to follow up on what you said there, one of the great achievements that we've been involved in with adult social care over the last number of months is tech enablement. It's like 80% of people are now utilising that to stay in their own home, and hopefully we will be building on that over the coming years to achieve exactly what you said, keeping everybody for as long as possible in their own home. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Councillor Dodd. Anybody else? Councillor Dodd. Councillor Johnson. Switchboard. Yeah, it is. I agree. £10 fine, Councillor John.
Now,
I don't think you were going to get away with that one. Can we now put it to the vote if there are no more questions, please? Can we have a show of hands? Thank you, everybody. Item 5, management accounts 2024 to 2025. I will now hand over to Councillor Matthews, a portfolio holder for resources, to introduce his report. Thank you.
Thank you, Leader. Hope you all had a chance to read the report, but I'll give you a brief summary. As a Cabinet Member of Finance and Resources, I present to the Cabinet today the management account for the 2024-25 financial year. The annual budget report 24-25, which was reported to full council in February 24, was prepared against a backdrop of continued financial uncertainty for local authorities, continued single-year settlements, high inflation and increasing demand has made many local authorities experience far more challenging financial pressures. Announced Section 114 notifications and required government intervention. This is not the case with Nottinghamshire County Council, which has always prided itself on sound financial management, but the pressure of growing demand and the increasing cost in delivering its services have added more risk to the council's finances. Given these risks, it's been important to closely monitor the financial position of the County Council throughout the year, with regular reports to the Corporate Leadership Team and Cabinet Overview Committee. I'm happy to report that overall there was a small overspend of £1 million against the council budget in 24-25. Considering the turbulent year with particular pressures for adult and social and children's social care services, which are reflected in the portfolio overspends, this is a remarkable achievement. This reflects the effort made by the corporate leadership team, as well as transformation and finance colleagues, to effect measures to mitigate the year-end budget challenges as far as possible. The main reasons for the variances in the revenue budget are set out from paragraph 7 in the report. At the council meeting in February, it was anticipated that the general fund balance would remain unchanged. However, the year-end accounts include the use of £1 million of the GFB. A small reduction leaves the GFB at £35.9 million, which still enables the council to manage the significant continual financial challenges facing the council over the medium term. The net movement in other earmarked reserves, excluding schools and insurance reserves, have been a decrease of £26.7 million. and reflects a significant increase in the use of external grants, funding of highway capital schemes and other capital programmes in 24-25, in line with the original budget plan approved last February. The reduction in school reserves reflects the overspend on the high need block, the transfer of positive school balances, and academic and the increasing pressures on school budget. Despite the difficult faced by the council, 149 million of expenditure was invested in the capital programme during 24-25. Most of the expenditure related to school improvement projects, providing additional school places and providing significant investments to improve the condition of the county's highways infrastructure. I'd now like to draw your attention to the appendices in the report. They give further details of the 24-25 outturn, the level of council reserves and the allocations that have been made during the year from the contingency budget. Also, appendices E and F provide an update to the two key areas of local authority governance. Appendix E sets out the financial position against the 24-25 prudential indicators that were approved as part of the budget report for the council in February 2024. Appendix F provides a review of the council treasury management activities for the year to 31st of March 2025. Colleagues, we know there are continuing to be a significant number of councils who do not meet both the publishing deadlines for the accounts and the completion of the unqualified options upon the audit. This council has always met these two very important milestones, which provide the confidence in the overall financial management of the council to our residents. Hence, I can again announce the council pre-audited 24-25 statement of account underway. It should be noted that there are significant risks and uncertainties associated with the current environment in which local authorities are operating within, both in the short and medium term. The government has recently published a proposed revision to the methods to be determined the funding of local government, including changes to the allocation of business rates income. The impact of these changes will not be known until the provisional land government settlement in December. So although we are promised a 3-year funding settlement for local government, the uncertainty as we approach the setting of the budget for next year continues. This brings the end to the last Conservative chapter. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Matthews, for that comprehensive report. I would now like to invite Councillor Stuart Bestwick. Join us at the table, please.
Good morning, everyone.
Morning.
Thank you, Councillor Barton, for allowing me to address the Cabinet again. Okay, so last year, under the Conservative administration, we delivered a £639 million revenue budget with a financial overspend of just £1 million, which I'm sure you've all calculated as just 0.16% of the total revenue budget. I'm sure you'll agree, a testament to prudent financial management and strong fiscal discipline in challenging times, and the position now inherited by your administration. We achieved this small overspend without raising the council tax by the maximum during the entirety of our 4-year term, and with no frontline services cut. Libraries stayed open, bus routes were protected, the on-demand bus service was launched, and new youth and public health outreach services were made available. Can the Cabinet confirm how it intends to maintain this record without impacting services? There was no unplanned borrowing during the 4 years of the previous administration. In fact, we repaid £46 million of debt, equating to interest payment savings of over £1.8 million. We also delivered, as I think my colleague Councillor Matthews mentioned, £149 million in capital investment, which included schools, highways, transport improvements, without taking on any unplanned borrowing. How will the Cabinet ensure capital delivery continues at this pace without reversing our debt reduction progress? Looking ahead, we pass on a relatively modest budget gap of £18.5 million, which equates to 2.8% of the total budget, but leaves reserves of over £270 million. In contrast, other county councils aren't able to move into this fiscal year in such a good position. Leicestershire, for example, after increasing council tax by the maximum allowable, still has a funding gap in excess of £38 million, projected to rise to £91 million by 2029. It should also be noted that when the Conservatives took over the running of this council from a Cabinet plan and budget for these undoubted financial pressures, that's £270 million. We delivered stability without unnecessary cuts to services. We now expect the Reform Administration to build on, not reverse, these achievements. Forward to hearing how you'll maintain our planned trajectory, fiscal discipline, service protection and long-term savings, anchored by responsible lobbying to ensure central funding keeps pace with costs. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you, Councillor Bestwick. Can Councillor Matthews briefly explain the challenges faced by this council during the forthcoming financial year, please, 2020-25?
Yeah, thank you for your question, Leader. The council has faced significant pressures over the year, and unfortunately, they will continue to the foreseeable future. These are not local issues, but national issues, such as a high inflation and high interest rates that have affected the cost of delivery on our services, as well as seeing the impact upon residents who face continued strain on their incomes. Unfortunately, some of that has to be reflected on the increased demand for our people's services as we support the most vulnerable people in our communities. This was coupled with issues from the government increase in the national living wage and the consequence and challenge from the Integrated Care Board as they also struggle to manage within their budgets. Hence, the overspend in children and families and adult social care portfolios are explained by these increases, cost pressures and increased demand. The detail of which are set out in paragraph 8 through to 14 in the report. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Matthews. Are there any other comments or questions from members? Oh, Councillor Martin Ryan.
Thank you, Leader. Yes, my question to the Cabinet member, referring to paragraph 26, PFI reserves, can the Cabinet member explain what PFI arrangements we still have?
Yeah, the detail of the PFI schemes the Council entered into years ago are set out more clearly in the Council's financial statement, which colleagues will find on our internal pages and include a secondary and primary school in Eastleigh, together with the Community Leisure Centre in Eastleigh. The contract comes to an end in July 2027. 5 secondary, 2 post, 16 centres, 1 special school and 2 community leisure centres. The contract comes to an end in July 2032. A waste recycling contract, provision of materials recycling facility and includes management of waste disposal and the operations at all our. Thank you for your question. The simple answer to that is yes. As we are paying debt taken out over 40 years ago, and debts are repaid to a 40-year period, so we have to pay debts that mature on 40 years. The council will be continuing to be paying these debts over the coming years. But we must remember the council budget approved last February set out the trajectory for borrowing over the medium term. If you look at the council budget, specifically Appendix E, page 182, table E112, you will see the council's plan was to start borrowing again in 2027-28. By the end of 28-29, the plan was to increase borrowing by £50 million. Some of this was due to the catch-up need to borrow for prior years' capital spend, where finance officers have used internal borrowing to offset the need to borrow at today's high rate of interest. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Councillor Gale. Any more comments or questions? Can we put that to the vote then, please, with a show of hands? Thank you. Item 6, the Nottinghamshire Plan Annual Report for 2024-25 and the emerging priorities for the refreshed plan. I'd like to invite Councillor John Doddy to introduce his report.
Thank you very much indeed, Chair. I'm delighted to introduce this report to you today. And it's a report with sort of two parts to it. The first is the refresh of the Nottinghamshire Plan. Many of you will be familiar with the old plan, which was a 10-year plan, and this is the plan which we are refreshing. And the refreshment will be performed through intelligence gathered from previous annual reports and local information gathered, etc. Since we last met, the working group, which makes up 5 of the cabinet with responsibilities for various areas covering most of the needs of Nottinghamshire, has met on 2 further occasions. On those occasions, we were presented with an overview of Nottinghamshire. What makes Nottinghamshire what it is? What are the people like? What are the challenges for the 840,000? What are the challenges for the children, etc.? What is the life expectancy? What is the healthy life expectancy? A beautiful overview to allow us to start from the very fundamentals of what makes Nottinghamshire, Nottinghamshire, bearing in mind that there's great disparity. If you were out in space and you look down at Nottinghamshire, you would think this was a very, very normal. And indeed it is in comparison to all the other counties. But when you dig deeper and you go into the various wards and boroughs, you start to see that huge disparity from the Rushcliffe to the Mansfield, etc., which has been talked about on many occasions towards life expectancy, etc. Not only did we have that overview, but the officers brought bespoke information related to every single area of the working parties' portfolios. We got joint strategic needs association assessments. We got hundreds of pages of details on children, on special education needs, on roads, on assets, on healthcare of the elderly, etc. And it's with all that information that we are now charged to bring forward priorities that represent the vision of the new ruling group within Nottinghamshire. We're hoping to meet a couple of times over the summer. We're then hoping to bring a plan back sometime around October or November at the latest. That's the time scale. And when you look at that, the other thing it says in here is that there are emerging priorities. And if you've looked at the paper, you'll see that we've started off by saying that we want people to live longer in a healthier way. Now, those of you who were present at the last full council meeting will be aware that I went on talking about the length of time women live in deteriorating health from the age of 60 until they die at 83. I'm not going to go over that again.
Thank you.
Thank you. I think we've covered that quite comprehensively. But it's these emerging areas that we look at. And one of the things that stood out for me, and some of the information that was provided to us, included the public health outcome framework, hundreds of pages of up-to-date information on how we're performing against the rest of the country. And one of the areas that stood out without any shadow of a doubt was the fact that over 13% of pregnant women in Nottinghamshire are smoking. The average smoking incidence is close to 11. So pregnant women are actually outperforming any other area of the country in smoking. And there's a multitude of reasons for that. But to give every child the best start in life, this is the area that we're going to tackle going forward, and you'll notice that it is detailed as an emerging priority of the plan. We have other priorities around SEND, making sure that no child is left behind, and over a period of time, those emerging priorities will become more important. Now, The second part of this report is the annual plan. If we have a 10-year plan, you don't wait till the end of the 10 years and say, how did I perform? You actually look at it year on year on year. And this annual plan highlights the areas that we're moving forward with. One of our great successes going forward will be SEND under Councillor Hunt. And there are many things in here. I'm going to highlight one of them that occurred over the last period of time around fostering care. And there's a programme nationally called the Mockingbird Programme. And Nottinghamshire and indeed Derbyshire, D2N2, over the whole strategic authority, decided to get together and share education and share learning. Within that, there's a single family hub, which is the hub family, and 10 satellite families, which are referred to in the symbology as a constellation. And that allows foster families and the children within foster care to have a really strong bond together. And that has been shown over time through a tried and tested model called the Mockingbird model to keep children in foster care and make sure they stay there longer. The annual report highlights many areas of success, and in each of the years going forward, we will continue to bring back an annual report to you set against the new priorities and move to recommendations. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Councillor Doddy, and thank you for your comparison with Rushcliffe and Mansfield.
Yes.
I would now like to introduce or invite Councillor Bruce Lawton to the table, please, to give his comments.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The previous author of the plan. I wrote it. So, along with the officers of Derek, I'd just like to thank him for all the work he put in. Also, can I take this opportunity, Mr. Chairman? Thank you for allowing me to speak, and thank Councillor Matthews for singling out transformation as being something of a success, because I was happened to be in charge of it for 4 years. And I'd like to thank Lucy for all the work that she's put in, particularly on the family hubs, which is major and will come to fruition, mark my words. If it's okay with you, what I intend to do is just talk about one area within the plan, and then finally just mention another point which covers the whole and is written right the way throughout the plan, which I would like for that to continue. The one I want to talk about is SEND commitment in the refreshed plan. The refreshed Nottinghamshire plan in page 56, paragraph 6, confirms continued commitment to improving SEND provision, continuing to improve support for children and special educational needs and disabilities so that no child is left behind. And I welcome that. I welcome early intervention and that assurance for, and I hope that assurance turns into a long-term delivery. If you maintain the 10-year lifespan of the plan, then that presumably will be written in. I have a concern, and that concern is there is no mention of SEND transport. Just despite it being critical and a legal requirement of the EHCPs. Work has already been done on SEND transport, and I'd just like to pay tribute to Councillor Neil Clark, who is sat over there, and it should be central to any long-term SEND strategy. And I can give you a specific example, if I may, Mr. Chairman, of identifying parental responsibility within the SEND transport system, helping parents take their own children to their SEND provision. And I think that is a way forward to help in first reduce the impact of that transport. Why isn't SEND transport referenced in the updated priorities? That's my real issue within it, when it is a major part of the obligations and responsibilities. And SEND school delivery under the previous administration, and I'm not it was phenomenal, really, what we did over the 4-year period. We delivered 100 new specialist SEND places. We invested 5 million in SEND education. We added 28 new places in Yeoman Park, the Yeoman Park rebuild, 35 new places at the St Giles Special School, and there's also recent a new provision at the Dean Hall School in Cornton, which has just been Ofsteded as good, and they will be providing provision for SEND children. There's the Ravensdale SEND School, which is a £30 million structurally completed and is due to open soon with a further 160 new places. My ask really is, again, written in with this, is will the school building programme continue beyond Ravensdale, because part and parcel of the decision-making process is to create more localised SEND provision to reduce the impact as far as transport is concerned, and will place planning match EHCP growth, obviously, which is happening at this present point of time, and we all recognise, again, I'm picking up on Lucy's work that she's been doing on family hubs, that early intervention is the key to dealing with this. And quite recently on the NOTS debate, we were talking about PIPs and the impact it's having on government finance, and the Labour government are continuing to put a sticking plaster over the problem and not actually addressing the core issue and investing in the core issue. If they did that, they would reduce demand. And you are lucky in this administration, because the previous Conservative administration have invested in reducing demand, and that will come to fruition over your time of tenure. So I really just want you to reflect on those improvements, and whilst protecting the council tax and protecting other frontline services, many other authorities like Hampshire are in a right mess. I think it's £96 million spend as opposed to 32 in Nottinghamshire. My final point, if I may, and I'm pointing at you, John, really, is written right the way throughout the whole of the plan, is mental health. And mental health has been a push over the last 4 years in this authority, recognising the importance of it to the people, not only the people of Nottinghamshire, but the people who work for us. COVID has driven a coach and horses through mental health, the mental health in Nottinghamshire, and it is very, very important that this authority maintains that level of support, both for its staff and for the residents that we represent. Thank you very much, Leader.
Thank you, Councillor Lawton.
Sorry, I went on a bit.
That's all right. Are there any views or questions from Cabinet members? Councillor John.
I just want to make a comment regarding SEND, especially with the travel. I think that was addressed in the committee meeting a couple of days ago, talking about innovative ways that we'll be looking to provide for children. So, so we're committed to enhancing the experiences and outcomes for children and young people with special educational needs, their families. Our focus includes strengthening the graduated approach and ensuring appropriate specialist provisions, such as looking at school development in the SEND in Ollerton and Mansfield, also with Foxwood Academy, with their new development going from 110 to 260 schools. So we are committed to this continuous progression of expansion for SEND. So we look to develop a renewed SEND place planning strategy for 2026, as Councillor Dolly said, and support ongoing improvements in services following the local SEND monitoring inspection. And additionally, we aim to foster an effective communication and collaboration with parents, caregivers and stakeholders while embedding our support through family hubs and Families First partnership to provide timely assistance for families and communities. So,
Thank you, Councillor John. Anybody else? Councillor Green.
Yeah, I just want to thank Councillor Lawton for highlighting mental health. As an advocate myself, I'll set the thermostat here because we live in public life, which is an honour. And Councillor John and myself and Councillor Doddy and some of the other cabinet members have been sitting in some really productive meeting about this plan. And you mentioned as well, I think money, that's the best word, which is what makes the world go round, isn't it? And I certainly feel that there are existing structures in this council that are actually really good.
Yeah.
I'm quite excited to basically champion the Not Alone campaign. I feel that knowledge is power, and particularly in the last 5-10 years in this country, mental health has been a really positive, highlighted issue. However, as I've been having the honour to sit with people with some serious struggles with social services, we had the honour of meeting how child protection plans work and the complexities that are there. But knowledge is power. And as someone who's led mental health groups for 5 years, saving over 300 men, I've never heard of Not Alone. And I ask her, I look around the room, has anyone else heard of Not Alone? Not everyone. And if you look in this room, 1 in 4 have suffered with ill mental health. So that's approximately 10 to 12 people in this room in their life will suffer and struggle with ill mental health. So Reform UK have 3 principles: family, community and country. And this administration is committed through this plan to put this at the top of our list. We're analysing the strengths base of this initiative, but it needs highlighting. So we're certainly committed to championing this amazing thing that's already in place, but we want to take it to the next level. So we want to thank genuinely the previous administration and the officers for putting this in place, but it's time for the next level now. It's time to press on. The last 2 months are in the past, and it's about putting the people first. And so I ask all councillors across every party to help champion this amazing cause. September is World Suicide Prevention Month. October is World Mental Health Month. I'll be wearing a Not Alone t-shirt around this building, and I'm asking you politely to do so. But we've got some exciting plans we want to put through, and it's exciting. I just want to lastly speak. The people of Nottinghamshire are made of tough stuff, but if you haven't got encouragement there, if you haven't got someone who's encouraging and championing you and saying you're doing a great job. I sat with a woman, she's lost 4 of her kids, and I told her, you're the most resilient human being I've met, that you've lost 4 of your children. You have the strength to meet me in person and cry and tell me of your story. And I want to empower people like that to make sure that she feels supported. Because lastly, there's this gap between the people and us, and that is our role. And this is what we want to do for this plan, is bridge that gap and promoting services, because they don't know they exist. If we do that, they're self-serving themselves. They're promoting resilience, and that is the prevention that's required. And what we want to do in this plan, so that there is a reduction of strain on services, so that we will save money ultimately and improve lives. So yeah, that's just my comment. I feel that Not Alone is something that we both and the team that has a meeting are going to really champion and stress forward. All right.
Thank you,
So,
Councillor Green. You're very well. Are there any more comments or questions? Oh, Councillor Justice, sorry.
Thank you, Leader, and thank you there, Councillor Green, because I think you've stolen a lot of what I wanted to say, and but I want to reassure Councillor Lawton as well that health and wellbeing and mental health is central to our new Nottinghamshire strategic plan, and moving forward, we all realise the important role of good health in our communities. It makes a difference to people's lives. It means that they can contribute to their community and to society. Good health helps people stay in employment for longer, and it generally helps them lead more fulfilling lives. And so the Nottinghamshire strategic plan will continue to be supportive of those issues. And as we develop our new plan, I'm looking forward to seeing health and wellbeing and mental health being embedded into the work of the council.
Thank you, Councillor Justice. Anybody else? Councillor Dolly.
Just to say that we do, as Councillor Lawson said, acknowledge that the plan was his, and as we acknowledge the past, the most important thing is looking to the future. And I think we've heard around the table the beginning of what information, knowledge, those strategic needs assessments give to people to inform that decision. It is an emerging set of priorities. It certainly is a completed list, but over the next couple of months, more and more priorities will come to the fore. And I'm enormously optimistic that we will provide something unique and special for the people of Nottinghamshire.
Thank you, Councillor Doddy. Councillor Matthews.
Yeah, I thought what Councillor Green said was magnificent, and he's the only person in this room knows about me. I'm one of the 4 who suffered with problems with anxiety and panic attack. I think I'm not ashamed to say that. What I am ashamed of, I don't like the word mental. I don't like the word mental health. I think it's a derogatory title and we need to change that title in some way. I think it's insulting to anybody. I think it's insulting to me. Now, I've dealt with it for over 40 years and I think I've dealt with it very well. Sometimes it's been desperate. So from a person who's 1 in 4, I thank you for your comments. They were magnificent. Well done.
Thank you, Councillor Matthews. Anybody else? Can I put that to the vote then, members? Can we have a show of hands, please? Thank you. With that, I'll close the meeting. I'd like to thank everybody for coming. I'd also like to thank, there's a member of public turn up. Thank you for attending today. Much appreciated. Thank you, everybody.